Hello, everyone. I think we're live as soon as I unmuted myself there. I hope today we have all of our audio issues sorted out and this first episode, official episode of the Coffee, Kegs, and Kriegsspiel podcast goes smoothly. Let me check my audio. It's looking good. I see my screen. You should see me on the YouTube. Here I am. Hi, waving at you. And there you go. And what you see on my screen is an order of battle that I had for a game that was played yesterday. And this order of battle, um, I'm commanding a division, the 10th Division. This is a Prussian division in this case. I have some regular troops here of decent quality. I have another unit here of kind of okay quality. And I have some landwehr militia here in this brigade. I've got 4 batteries, 3 of which are attached from higher command. They've been assigned to me to command. I have a hussar for a formation, whatever it is. It says brigade on there, but it's actually only 1 block out of which what is normally 2. And I have a supply train. And we had this very interesting battle yesterday. Here was the scenario. We are coming in, or at least my formation is coming in, from the north. Actually, I'll go ahead and use solid colors here. Coming in right here. And we have friendly troops around here in this area. I don't know precisely where. And the bad guys are somewhere over here. And all we know is that we are supposed to hunt them down and destroy them. We are supposed to defeat them. So we assume, Kriegsspiel being Kriegsspiel and this being the map, that they're probably going to come around this way, and of course this way in an attempt to find us, flank us, and destroy us. So we aren't sure exactly what their mission is, but ours is basically find, fix, and destroy the enemy. Theirs is probably something likewise. So the game starts out with my formation coming on up here in the north, um, and I had this brilliant idea. I'm like, why don't we go to Seedorf? Because for sure there's going to be action there. I want to go to Seedorf. And my corps commander says, no, go to New Goldberg. I get sent over here. And the other 2 divisions in the corps are sent here. Now, my corps commander's intention was to have me in the rear as a strong, reliable reserve. Not a bad idea, but we didn't stick to that plan because what happened is eventually our forces were ordered to go this way. They encountered the enemy around here. They got engaged, and then eventually they got pushed back to here, to their starting position. And I would have been real useful coming in, maybe even on the flank or something like that. But that wasn't the order that was given to me. Instead, I was told to go here and hold. I wasn't sure what to do with myself. It took about an hour or 2 of game time just for my blocks to arrive on the map. And when they did, well, I arrived at New Goldberg. There was no contact with the enemy that was reported to me. There wasn't much going on. So I came up with this scheme that, hey, someone's got to take this position here, Unterhof, because this is a pretty serious place. The enemy could drive right through here. And if they did, well, we would be flanked either way, that way or that way. So we can't have that. So I proposed, since there were no friendly forces here, there were friendly forces here, and there were allegedly friendly forces somewhere around here, I proposed, well, why don't I hold this? And I laid out this plan to forward deploy artillery, set up my own headquarters here, have some cavalry in reserve here, have some infantry back here, as well as back here, here, and even here in reserve. So I had this whole plan where I had this layered defense that would allow me to go this way right away if needed. I could call for my reserves and have them up there in about 30 minutes, Or if I had to, I could pack up and go this way, or whatever. So I had this really cool plan that I had figured out. Okay. Then I was ordered to start heading this way. I met with my corps commander, and I think this was a good decision overall. Although, yeah, I could have been used over here on the right, but at the time we were having success over here. So, economy of force principle applies, right? Corps commander says, hey, why don't you go this way because we have a great opportunity. And the opportunity is this: we located the enemy right here around the town of New Wheeler, and the enemy was faced by two of our divisions, and it appeared to be he had one or two divisions of his own right here. And so the plan was, and I participated fully in this plan, by the way. I agreed with my corps commander. I thought this was pretty good logic. This is an opportunity to defeat the enemy in detail. And so I figured, hey, let's do this, and all three of us will smash the enemy and destroy them. And so down I went. I also was very concerned about these crossings here. I was concerned that at either of those 2 points, the enemy could escape and get away, which we don't want that to happen, do we? Or the enemy could reinforce. They could send reinforcements up this way, and that would be a problem. Well, we don't want that either, do we? So, my decision was to send a small contingent of my force, my landward infantry, my artillery, and my hussars down this road to basically slow down and halt anybody, especially if they're trying to escape. And I think that was a pretty decent move. Now, the landward infantry aren't the type of unit that's likely to stay and stick it out in a fight for very long, but it's also an important thing to do to slow down the enemy. Basically, they act as a speed bump. And if you put them across a bridge or something like that, I think you would have a pretty effective blocking force, especially when supported by two batteries and a formation of hussars to countercharge anything that might break through, whatever it is. So I think it would have been a pretty effective force for road blocking anything that comes through. So my guys start heading down this way, right, and there we are headed down, and I keep getting reports. The battle is moving. The battle is moving. Things are happening all around me. At one point, I start going down this way, and then I hear, oh, now we need to go the other way. Here, I'll make a little transparent line here. So here I am coming down this way. I'm coming this way. And eventually, I end up doing this kind of thing down to here, trying to engage the enemy. Because every report I receive, at one point I hear a report that the enemy is actually probably crossing this bridge here. I order these units to the south to intercept and to hopefully prevent or discourage any kind of activity along that road. Um, so I turn this way. I find out, no, the enemy's still here. I turn left. And eventually, after 5 hours of combat, I'm not engaged. I never even see the enemy. These units here cleverly do capture two units of the enemy supply train. So a couple enemy supply units are captured, which is it's a great win. They're going to eat very well tonight. But at the end of the day, my army ends up all the way down here, and we don't have much to show for it. So, what went wrong? What happened? Well, I don't know that anything went wrong. First of all, let's take a look at the scenario design. The scenario design, as I understand, had blue entering the map from a couple different directions, the same as red. So let me just draw some little aids here so we can illustrate everything. So blue is coming in one way, I think that way, and I think they're coming in from around here. And blue has to link up and fight us somewhere on the map. Meanwhile, red has a similar obligation, probably coming in here and here, and we have to link up and fight blue and defeat them somewhere on the map. And so the scenario design was just fine. What about the plan? My Corps commander's plan to come over here and push south was okay. Now, with two divisions facing what was likely to be a blue Corps, in my opinion, that was where I would question that. I would have held at Seedorf in here. I would have held here a line roughly like that. Either this position, although I don't know if I could really hold it because it can be easily flanked, but definitely Seedorf would have been my preference for a defensive line. I would have held there along that line right there. That's what I would have done personally. My Corps commander chose to play aggressively, and I think that's fine. And it did initially bear fruit, but Blue eventually showed up to the party and pushed them back. And as far as I know, that line held. I don't know what happened to it in the end, but I think it held decently. Now, what about over here on the left? Over here on the left, we did great. We managed to surround Blue, and by the end of the battle, forced them to surrender. So our commanders did satisfactory to excellent. There was no subpar or substandard performance. The scenario was fine. But hey, here I am in the situation where I'm not contacting the enemy. What do I do with myself in that situation? Well, what I tried to do was find ways to make myself useful nonetheless. By sending my cavalry and my landwehr and my artillery here to secure these crossings, especially given the fog of war, I am making myself at least effective. I'm putting myself in a position where I can be effective. Even though the main body of my force is literally doing this and chasing the enemy or chasing reports around the map, I'm at least making myself effective in other areas. So what I did was I detached a portion of my force that I felt could hold its own for 1, 2, or 3 turns duration, while the rest of my main body went to do its job as it was ordered. But I did. I figured you detach a few blocks, 4 or 5 blocks, you now have a force that even if it's overwhelmed, it will probably hold out for 1 or 2 turns at least, maybe even 3. And in that time, you can react to that. You'll get a report. You can react to that, whatever it may be. If nothing else, it slows down the enemy and throws the enemy off their plan. So even though I never expected my forces to hold either this town or the town of Karsdorf here, I did expect them to slow down the enemy. Now, they didn't get to do that because the enemy didn't come through there. The enemy was so busy doing this and later eventually doing that that they ignored everything happening over here, which gave us free rein and allowed us to destroy half of their force in detail. But here I was trying to do my part. So what I think the answer to the Kriegsspiel problem is if you cannot find the enemy, try to make yourself useful in another capacity. I did stop moving. At one point when I got down here to this location and I received reports that the enemy was surrendering, I ordered an immediate halt to operations. I said stop, and I did not issue another order to move because you don't have to always keep moving. You don't move unless you have an objective to where you're going. If you move without an objective, then any direction in which you move is not going to be useful. It's not going to be helpful. It isn't favorable. So instead, what you have to do is you have to wait until you have something actionable to move upon, which of course I didn't have. Um, in real life, I may have pushed back to New Goldberg or at least back to Alt Goldberg just because I would imagine the enemy would be coming through there and I had received reports. But again, in the game, because I knew that, hey, we were pushing 5, 6 hours, we had bagged half of the enemy army, it's probably going to wrap up, which of course it did a turn or two later. There was no point in me continuing to expend umpire and game resources and consume time moving for no further reason, moving, without any hope of being engaged in combat. That would just prolong the experience for everybody and have nothing to show for it. So I made sort of a personal strategic decision to say we're stopping and we're done, and that was that. And that's fine. In real life, yeah, we should have perhaps moved back towards the crossings, but we were playing a game, so I played it that way. Nonetheless, I think what you do is you try to find ways to make yourself useful. If you have to split up your force, which is another good thing to do, if you can't contact the enemy, splitting up puts more eyeballs out there in the field across the map, making it more likely that you will contact the enemy. The only thing you have to watch for is being in a position where you are not going to be able to support yourself. And that was a real danger here because as I'm doing my big snaking maneuver here, I'm not really in position to support my landwehr. I'm kind of close in terms of proximity. There were a couple points where if I needed to get across the bridge, I could be there in about 15 minutes or in 20, 30 minutes, but generally that was not the case. Generally, I was too far away. But I thought that I had sent a sufficient force for the purpose. The purpose was for them to act as a speed bump to units crossing these bridges, and I think that was fine. But in most cases, you have to be careful to opening yourself up to the prospect of being defeated in detail. You have to guard against that yourself. And if you think you are in the immediate presence of a larger enemy, well, there's a couple schools of thought. One is to concentrate on defensible terrain and hold. The other one is to simply scatter if you're just focused on survival and getting the heck out of there. If you scatter, that makes it harder for the enemy to coordinate operations against you. Um, but those are a couple approaches to that. So let's take a look at the commentary. And by the way, if anybody wants to ask a question or offer commentary, do so. You can do that in the YouTube. You can also hop on the Discord. The Discord channel is open, and I do have the audio fixed. So any guest who wants to appear and contribute or say something or share an opinion, or maybe you have a contrary take on all of this, absolutely welcome to join the Discord and do that. Let's see here. And real quick, I'm going to put our Patreon link in here because I haven't done that yet. I see I have a comment from Dave. Dave was my corps commander, and he's saying, hey, hey. And I totally get that, Dave. You're right. I don't want to be too harsh on you because I think you did just fine. The only thing that I would have done different besides, putting your most prestigious commander out front, uh, I digress, is I would have probably held at Seedorf. I would have established an observation post on the hill to the front and made my main line at Seedorf, and I probably would not have attacked. Um, so I'm kind of curious why Dave chose to attack. But I'll let him speak for himself on that. Remember, he has information and calculus that I don't have access to, so I can't judge his decision without being in his shoes, without knowing what he knew. I'm just a lowly divisional commander. And I also have to say this, and I say this all the time. If I wanted to run the corps, I should have applied for the corps position. I'm a division commander. My job is to obey orders, which I did. So I cannot complain, and I have no complaints. But I am curious what Dave was up against. I'm just checking. There's no other comments right now, but that's okay. So we had a Kriegsspiel problem, or I had a Kriegsspiel problem, and what do you do? One of the things that the scenario designer mentioned to me in private message afterwards is that I did in fact manage, I think inadvertently. I would like to say I did it on purpose, but I didn't. But one thing that I did inadvertently was I solved Red's problem, which was by going down here, I cut the blue line of communication entirely. So I completely cut off the right and the left sector for blue. And okay, that was not why I moved that way. And I mean, in a way, it was right because I wanted to prevent or slow down movement between the two sides of the map. But I wasn't doing that for some massive strategic purpose. I was doing that because I wanted to bag the forces on the left and I did not want anything to interfere with that effort to destroy the forces on the left. So the motivation was a little bit different. Nonetheless, the result was the same, and it was a glorious strategic victory for our side. So, yes, Dave, please chime in. Hop on the Discord and chime in. Dave is offering to chime in. Dave has his own podcast, by the way. And Dave, I would invite you when you get a moment to drop your podcast link, please, in the comments here. Hop on. And let's see if Dave can make it in. I would love to hear from Dave. Let's see. Let me check the Discord just to make sure. There's no issues. Oh, I hope he can make it in. Yeah, Dave has his own podcast. He was uh, showing some naval stuff today, and I was busy doing chores and stuff. I didn't have a chance to watch what he was broadcasting. But Dave Pumphouse does have pretty cool YouTube of his own, and he's also run his own Kriegsspiel before. And here he is. Dave, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Am I coming
Yes,
through loud and clear?
yes, there you are. I hope the YouTubers can hear you. Let me double check the OBS stream and go ahead and say hello.
Hello.
Hey, it says it's working. So I
Oh,
assume
good.
everyone can hear you. Dave, go for it, man. What do you have to say?
Yeah. So it was a great scenario. Uh, it took me a turn or two to really get my full bearings and to kind of settle on on a strategy. The reason why I wanted to concentrate on the left was because in the briefing, it kind of gave me a hint that the divisions on the left side of the map going to Nunweller weren't all that strong. There was like two weak divisions. No, one of the weakest divisions, and a strong division. So I was thinking, okay, well, if we can give them some support, uh, then we should have it in the bag. But luckily, I think that the dice rolls really helped out with. There was an attack up to Alsterton by their two divisions that didn't go too well for them because I think most of their infantry were crossing about a mile uphill from Nunweller to Alsterton. Yeah,
Oh,
so
oh, they
like they
tried
were.
something like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. And that is
Mm.
a long uphill climb. Look at that.
And but yeah, I mean, but when you're kind of coming in separated like you are, and you do want to link up together. So that was kind of my plan. But also, I had the sneaking suspicion that as these scenarios are designed to be more or less balanced, that the enemy was going to come in disjointed as well. So I kind of took a gamble that I would meet them at Gut Holston, Gut, the bit in the hill in the middle. Um, and yeah, I think Vivi and Benny there on the right did a great job. Just kind of a mixed division that they kind of had in holding up what was like you mentioned an entire corps. So I gave them all credit for that, for getting their attention and allowing us to defeat the left in detail.
Yeah, no, you accomplished that, and that was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, the only problem I had is I was just 15 minutes late to the party, and the party moved.
Yeah,
I feel like I went out pub hopping, and I was trying to catch up to my friends, and they had already gone to the next one each time. You know?
yeah. I mean, that was unfortunate. To be honest with you, and it yeah, I did kind of feel a little bit bad for you that you didn't get a great fight, and but sometimes that just happens, right? It's the risk you take when you're at the back of the column.
Right? I know, I know. Now, what about Seedorf? You chose to attack there, or was
um,
that something that kind of happened on its own? What happened there?
yeah, so over in Seedorf, yeah, so we had Benny's infantry division sitting in Seedorf, and about 8 o'clock, I believe, we spotted an enemy cavalry column coming up the hill to Gut Holstedt, and our cavalry was kind of meeting them on top of the hill, if you like. So what I asked the cavalry to do was kind of act as a screen, and then have Benny's division move south and try and take that hill. And it was really just to fight some kind of delaying action, and then maybe even draw them, um, away from the main fight that was happening in the left, which they did. They did fantastically in the job that I was hoping that they'd be able to accomplish.
Is it this hill here?
No, so you have Gut Hollenhof, which is just at the kind of south end of the middle. So if you move your
Right
cursor
here. There we are.
south,
Yes. Okay. So you folks had a battle here, and the purpose of that was diversionary.
mm.
Is that right? Do I
Yeah,
understand
that's
correctly?
right. That's right. Yeah, I was hoping it would be diversionary, and then what happened was that Benny and Vivi led the entire corps north. Now, towards the end of the game, our cavalry was a little bit beaten up. They did unfortunately suffer some captured wagons,
Mm-hmm.
and we probably would have had to send the cavalry back to friendly lines. And I was also a little bit worried about Benny's infantry division because they were tired, but they were fighting a decent retreat. Um, but yeah, and I, to be honest with you, I really wanted to give all credit to the blue players for playing the way they did, and for being aggressive against the uh, kind of diversionary division that I stuck there. Because if they'd have kept pushing, and they actually did manage to sneak a division up on Unterhof as well, which would have cut the cavalry and the infantry division up in Seedorf away from our main force.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would have probably had a mirror of what happened over in Nunwiller,
Yeah, they
but
were
in
they
the
were
reverse.
they were heading this way, I think, at the end of the
Yeah.
battle. However,
Mm.
remember you have a fresh division right here ready to throw at
Yeah, we did,
them.
and had we played an hour or two more, it would have happened. But it would have, yeah, it would have really made us all knackered, I think, at the end.
There you have it. There you have it. Well, Dave, I think you did great. I think the scenario was great. It was very well played. Do you know who was commanding on the red side?
We were the red side.
No, I'm sorry, on the blue side, I mean. Sorry.
I think it was uh, Lake, right?
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I think so.
all right. He had a tough problem though. He had
He
to.
did.
Did he know where his allied forces were? Did he know? I don't know what he knew.
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, it was a tough one because when you think about it, that is tough because we're
Mm,
here and we're here and he's here and he must have been somewhere over here.
mm.
We're
I think,
closer. Look at how much
yeah,
closer we are to him.
that's true. That's true. I think I don't know. Well, yeah, because you weren't there for the little debrief about Blue's mission. But Blue's mission was to actually take Unterhof and the hill, which is near to where we started, actually. And I forget the village. Um, like old Goldberg, the hill northwest of it. So they had like two objectives to take those kind of two hills, and they kind of really just focused on the objective, and
Hmm.
really kind of forgot that they were separated, and were, yeah, at the risk of being defeated one by one.
Right. So their objective was roughly to take that area, that region, and
Yeah,
control it.
yeah, and they did sneak a division on there by the end of the game.
Right here at Unterhof, I think.
Yeah,
I think I got a report about that.
right.
So yeah, there we have it. Well, all right. Well, Dave, very well done. Well led. I enjoyed serving under your command. You're fun to play with.
Yeah, I mean, all credit to the division commanders on my side, I think, because yeah, like I said, I didn't really have too much of a plan. I just know that when we found the enemy, that we were going to defeat them in detail.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you did a great job of that, especially. So there you have it. This was one of the most clear victories I've seen in a Kriegsspiel game in a while. So
Oh, good.
you're due a lot of credit, and I've seen a lot of games over the past month or so. You're due a tremendous amount of credit for your leadership. So thank you, Dave. Good job.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Dave, shout out for your channel. Do you want to drop the link into? Do you want to drop the
Yeah,
link into
sure.
the
If
chat?
if you just type in Dave Pumphouse into YouTube, you'll find me.
There you go. I want to say hi to Achilles, who just showed up on YouTube and said hi. Hello, Achilles. Good to see you. I don't know if you were able to watch the whole episode, but you'll be able to watch it from the start shortly. This one is one of our free public episodes, which we're going to be doing again every Sunday at 9 a.m. I don't know about next Sunday. Next Sunday's a little iffy for me, but regardless, I am going to be broadcasting between now and then to make sure everything is dialed in, make sure the audio's good, and I'm also going to be doing special episodes. I'm going to start doing the special episodes that are only for the Patreon subscribers. So I strongly want to encourage everyone to subscribe to the Patreon and support what we're doing here. Support the International Kriegsspiel Society. Please help me out. All this merchandise isn't free. I have to buy Kriegsspiel everything, right? No, I just appreciate the support because it does cost a lot to run our Discord, to run our website and other things. But we are getting all of that taken care of so that it's set up as a wonderful free resource for everybody in the world to use to get their Kriegspiel resources. You can find that website on kriegspiel.org. I am typing it into the comments, so it's right there. We just had that website redone. I'll give you a quick look at it. I know I'm a little over my budgeted time, right? I told you 30 minutes. I'm a little over. Hopefully, y'all don't have to run. But here you have it. Here is our website, kriegspiel.org, and you can totally come through here and check it out. You can send us a message, send dispatch. You can send us a message with your name on it, or you can send an anonymous message, like if you have feedback. We also have resources, which I think will be one of the most widely used sections. So we have, all kinds of stuff that you folks can get. Just so you know, this stuff here is Too Fat Lardy's content. We do not get paid for it, but you can go and get these maps that we're using from Too Fat Lardy's. We also have all kinds of other stuff here that's useful, other resources. Things we like, we have all kinds of links here. We're going to have to add Dave Pumphouse to this list here. Um, but you have me up there talking about being the International Kriegsspiel Society. I ought to change that out now. And all kinds of other things. The UK group, the Kriegsspiel Society, and more. All kinds of resources here on our website. So when you support us on Patreon and when you support us on, just supporting us on Patreon, when you join the Discord and all of that, you're helping to make all of this happen. This is a great picture, by the way. This was one of the more recent in-person Kriegspiels that we have run. Um, that one I ran in Los Angeles, and yeah, so it's good times. So we do have in-person games, and as the plague lifts from the land, we'll be going back to doing more of these in the near future. So I want to thank you all. Again, the Patreon link is, let's see here, um, Coffee, Kegs, and Kriegsspiel, patreon.com, Kriegsspiel. I'll put it one more time. And again, I want to thank you all for being here today. I will try to be on with you next Sunday. If I can't be on next Sunday, I will be on with you the following Sunday. but I'm also going to start doing special episodes just for our subscribers. So there's a lot of stuff to come. So thank you all for being here, and I will catch you soon. All right. Thank you all. Bye bye.
That was a nice little broadcast.